I caught my girlfriend cheating on me texting her ex-fiance and broke up with her. Original story. I started dating a girl I went to college with 15 years ago about 6 months ago. She messaged me out of nowhere one day. We had both recently divorced, mine 2 years ago, hers 3 years ago, and had children about the same age. We struck it off right away, and things moved faster than I could have imagined. I was coming off a divorce from a relationship in which my spouse cheated on me with a co-worker. It messed me up, and I'll be the first to confess that I now have significant trust difficulties. My ex-wife was not the biological mother of my child, and she made it plain that she no longer cared about my child or me, so I had no contact with her following the divorce. My girlfriend had a difficult divorce, but it wasn't as awful as mine, and she still had a good relationship with her ex for the sake of their child. In May, I started talking to this wonderful girl, and we hit it off. Everything was wonderful, and I was the happiest I had ever been in my adult life. I hadn't dated or even considered dating since my divorce. I'd spent all of my time raising my kid and spending as much time as I could with her. The only hitch was that we lived over 3 hours apart. We made it work by alternating weekends. I'd travel up to her place one weekend, then she'd come to mine the following. She dated another man between her divorce and the time she started talking to me, and he proposed to her last fall. They ended up breaking up early this year since things did not work out. She told me everything, and I didn't think anything of it. She had lived with the guy and he still kept some of her belongings, one of which was something she had received from her mother when she was a youngster and meant a lot to her. Her mother died last year, so I knew how much that meant to her. I wanted to help her get it back, but they didn't get along. When I mentioned messaging him and offered him money for the item, she freaked out and begged me not to message him. Another month goes by, and she's at my place, FaceTiming her pal. When her buddy asks her what she thought of her trip, she freaks out and attempts to divert the subject while telling her that she hadn't told me about it. Naturally, when she hangs up the phone, I confront her about what she was talking about. She ultimately discloses that she drove to her ex's house with the idea of reclaiming the item, but he wasn't there, so she dropped it and let it go. I was irritated that she hadn't informed me, but I ultimately got over it. She stated that she was letting it go and that there was nothing to be concerned about. Let's fast forward a few weeks. I work the night shift and contact her every night at 9 p.m. during my lunch break. She didn't respond on this specific night. I tried texting and contacting her but received no response. I chalked it up to her falling asleep and didn't think much of it after that. The next morning, I get a message from her saying she needed to tell me something. She continues by saying that her ex-fiancé messaged her about returning the item and invited her to meet him at a bar. So she goes to meet him, and she claims that things were hot and that nothing was settled. When I asked her why she didn't tell me she was going to meet him, she claimed she knew I'd be upset, and I'll be the first to admit that I would have been. She claimed she didn't respond to my messages for the rest of the night because she felt awful and couldn't bring herself to tell me she had gone to meet him. It was bad enough that she met him in the first place, but knowing she neglected me the entire night while she was with him destroyed my heart. It had been a difficult couple of days, but I reminded myself that if I wanted to stay with her, I had no choice but to trust her. I know I can be a jealous person considering what happened in my last marriage, and she convinced me that I was exaggerating. I let it go and went on with my life. I did tell her that if she had any further contact with him, I was done. Things improved after that, and after a few months, I did something crazy in retrospect, but my love for her got the best of me. I made the decision that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with this woman. We had talked extensively about our future plans, and we both stated unequivocally that we loved each other and desired to spend the rest of our lives together. She even mentioned multiple times that if I didn't propose to her soon, she would. I adored her and her child. My daughter adored her and became a close friend/almost sister to her kid, and my parents adored them both. I couldn't say the same about my last marriage. In October, I bought an engagement ring and began making plans to propose to her. Her birthday was coming up at the end of November, so I made reservations at a good restaurant overlooking a big city's downtown, intending to propose to her after dinner. I even solicited the assistance of the restaurant and made certain that every aspect was planned out. I had intended to ask her father whether I may marry his daughter the following weekend, and I had planned to propose to her on her birthday, Thanksgiving weekend. Then there was last night. We had a wonderful day together. I was as happy as I'd ever been, and all I could think about was what I was going to say to her father. We went to bed, and while I was lying there, I did something I'm not proud of, and part of me wishes I hadn't. She was sleeping when her phone rang at midnight, and I began to wonder who would message her at that hour. My curiosity and jealousy got the best of me. I took her phone and unlocked it, and while it doesn't make things any better, I had never considered going through her phone before. The first message she received was from a family member, but the third message on her list was from her ex-fiance. On Tuesday, she had spent the entire day talking to him, and what I witnessed made me sick. He'd emailed her a picture of a piece of mail that had been delivered to his residence, and the conversation had taken off from there. She began interrogating him about his girlfriend, and she questioned whether she could drive the RV like she could. She and her ex-fiancé used to vacation in an RV. She inquired as to her poker skills. They used to play all the time. When he told her she didn't play, she retorted that she must be good in bed. She informed him that she believes everything occurs for a reason, and that even if things didn't work out for them, she was grateful he was in her life. He gave her some heart emoticons as well as a screenshot from his phone of her kissing him. He assured her that he was always available and that she may contact him at any time. I was in a state of astonishment, anger, and heartbreak all at the same moment. I'm not sure what happened between them, but she told me earlier that he constantly thought she was never good enough for him and that he tried to change her. She informed him in the texts that she attempted to be what he wanted her to be, and he responded that she was making wonderful progress and that he wished she would have persevered. Is this significant progress? She sounded like a dog he was training? The messages were a little upsetting to me. Throughout it all, he kept reminding me that you had a partner, and it's not fair to him if you keep messaging me like this. He even claimed that if you're thinking about us, you'll never be able to devote yourself to another man. I laid in bed, unsure how to deal with this. Part of me wanted to get up and leave in the middle of the night, part of me wanted to wake her up and have the chat we had the night before, and part of me just wanted to let it go because I knew how happy she made me and that bringing it up would result in us breaking up. I decided to sleep on it and questioned her about it when we got up this morning. I decided to listen to what she had to say. When I confronted her, she denied having any touch with him. I told her that I had gone through her phone while that there was no use in lying about anything. Her memory magically returned, and she stated that he messaged her on Tuesday morning, and things escalated from there. I informed her after the night she met him at a bar that if he interfered with our relationship one more time, I was done. I didn't see any other option but to end things with her, so I gathered my possessions, hugged her, and thanked her for a great 7 months. I hugged her daughter and told her I loved her before getting in my car and driving home. I believe I made the correct decision, but I'm sick about it. I'm ill at the notion of not having her in my life, but I don't see how the relationship can continue after this. I've never commented on this site before, and I'm not sure if I need someone to tell me I did the right thing, or that I should give her another chance, or to talk me down from the cliff. I'm so hurt, angry, and befuddled that I don't know where to go or what to do.